you could be up against it for cash flow, lack of clients, marketing, whatever it may be. But it's having that vision and belief in yourself that you can see through that and how you're going to get creative, where most people just bury their head in the sand. Or what they then do is they'll go and speak to other business owners in that sector, and they all then believe the hype that shit. And like the amount of people that said that isn't going to work. And I said, well, 1, you're not unique. 2, you haven't got what we've got, which is me and Christian. 3, you don't have the unique property group and everyone around us. 4, what if we can make it happen, we will make it happen.
We're both quite visionary, and we're equally at the same time quite strategic. But also we have people behind us crunching numbers and doing due diligence research and so on and so forth for us to put a strategy together, but then implant the vision that we have for whatever product or service it might be.
So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, all depends when you're listening to this podcast. My name is Lewis Hall. We are back recording another session for the CEO and the founder of the Unique Property Group. What we're going to talk about in this session is vision and strategies. I'm sat with my good friend and my business partner, Christian Woollard. I'll let you kick off.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Thank you,
and
sir.
Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, vision, strategy. Every business needs a strategy and every business needs vision. Those two things are completely separate. A strategy can be, we're going to market, we have a product, and this is what we want to do, and these are the people we want to sell it to.
And how are you going to do it, exactly?
And how you're going to do it. A vision is, I see something that nobody else sees, and I see a gap in the market, and I think if I can create or put something together here, this is going to work. We're both quite visionary, and we're equally at the same time quite strategic, but also we have people behind us crunching numbers and doing due diligence research and so on and so forth for us to put a strategy together, but then implant the vision that we have for whatever product or service it might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a lot of people in business that don't have a vision, right? Have no idea what it is. A lot of people think like look at it like a vision board. That's the best way to describe it, right? It's being able to see something that hasn't happened yet, and that could be that's for any business. It could be done for personal. It doesn't have to be in business, right? I mean, your vision of yourself. It might be, and I laugh when I say this, Lewis wants to get fit and healthy. Well, that's been going around in circles for some time. I still have a vision to do that. Doing it's a different story. Or in business, you might have a vision of how your business is going to evolve, how your products are going to change. What's your end goal? What is your true vision of what you're trying to achieve here? Then you map it out, work it backwards, then it creates potentially, if you're doing it from scratch, a business plan, or if it's a new product, it'll be a whole strategy themselves. So strategies, like you said, are completely different than the vision. But once you have a clear vision and you have that end goal as such, and you're working backwards from that, then, like I said, there's so many people out there that don't have a vision or don't know where they're going, and you just pretty much, I think personally, it's pointless.
Well, I think for us, when we got together, we had a clear vision, and it looked like a pipe dream. We wanted to create a 200+ million pound property investment business. And we looked at each other and we raised a glass and said, let's go and do it. Then, how do you do that? That's the strategy. We're on course for that. Over the next, I would say, over the next 12 months, we're probably going to look to hit the 100 million property investment business, but in a 5-year plan. So that comes back to strategy. Where's the strategy? What are the routes to the end goal that you're trying to get to? We're looking at a 5-year plan. Within 5 years, we want to be that 250 million pound property investment company. We will have diversified in lots of different areas, and we probably will have outgrown the office unit that we have here, and so on and so forth. But the vision starts there. How do you get to that vision? Is there the capability within the market to grow a business within 5 years to that value with whatever products or services you have? At the time when we sat down, we didn't have the products and services to go to 250 million. And there's an evolution in terms of us as a business, what we're doing, but there's a strategic plan in place backing up the vision at all times. And we know at points we're releasing new products, services, value for clients, which will ultimately then support the end goal or vision to get to that milestone. When we get to that milestone, then we sit down and we'll have another vision. What do we do next?
Keep going.
And yeah, we either keep going, we do this, that, whatever. But that's a separate bit.
But it also comes back to being able to adapt, right? I mean, let's be honest. There's no, I'm sure there is, but they're far and few between. There's not anyone that's gone, this is what I'm going to do the next 3 years. This is the exact plan. I'm going to follow it day by day. Yep. The world changes. You have to adapt.
You have to, yeah.
And I think we've all been there. We all learn and adapt. And I think one of our strongest key elements is our ability to adapt. It's like having a suit, and I explained it to Eve the other day. It's like having a superpower to see, like, for example, there was something with market, and I said, that's going to happen if we don't do that. She's like, how on earth can you see that? I've been through it before. I can see what's going to happen. It's like similar to yourself when we're talking about that will happen with the product if we don't do this. We've got to do it this way. No, and that's where we work so well together. But it's being able to adapt. Along your vision will always not necessarily change, but because you're up against so many moving factors, you have to move with that. That might be the industry, that might be the economy, that might be staff, that might be finances, it might be cash flow. If you don't adapt and you continue, that's what a lot of companies, that they say 1 in 3 goes under in the first 2 or 3 years, because people haven't had the experience in life or in business, and they've got this end goal. There's so many people that don't even have an end goal. They're just out there
just chugging along,
basically. But yeah, to have a business, you don't necessarily have to have a vision. Someone in that business has to have a vision, right? Because what's the point? You don't have an end goal. You need to be able to, I go back to the word superpowers, you need to be able to see. My ADHD helps wonders with it. Remember that time we had a conversation with the whiteboard over there, and we looked back, and I was like, how did everyone else not see that? It's like we solve problems. We come up with solutions to problems that don't even happen yet because we've either been through it before or we can see them coming. It's like when someone said, how do you know that was coming? Well, can't you see that? They're like, how do you think like that? And that's probably one of our biggest skill sets.
Yeah, I mean, I think, let's take a live example of how you adapt. You know, we had a vision, we brought on a product, we called it Own the Asset. Great product,
wonderful product,
where clients could buy.
We've got multiple of them.
We have got multiples of them. So clients, and we stress tested it. We bought the units ourselves. But basically, a developer takes a commercial site, change of use, makes it into a residential apartment block, and then bolts on a housing provider for a 25-year lease, typically operating at around a 10% rental net yield for clients. The clients could come in, buy that. It's a yield-based asset, so it's not a bricks and mortar value, but they come in, buy that. They've got the tenant in place, typically anywhere between 140 and 180,000 pounds on whether it's a 1-bed or a 2-bed apartment. They've got that lease in place. Off they go. It's a modern version of a buy-to-let. We launched that product. We then, in the background, work with various pension funds and all the rest of it. Once we've sold a multiple of apartment blocks, we then sell that on to whether it be a pension fund, wealth management, hedge fund, so on and so forth, gaining an uplift for the client. So the client ultimately would receive a significant uplift. He's getting the benefit of the 10% rental yields on a annual basis. Then he gets the uplift, and he can either go again and compound or not. I think we've probably touched on that briefly in another podcast. But we were in a crossroads because not everybody out there in the market, and this is where we spoke earlier about the apples and the lemons. That product is fantastic if somebody's looking to buy apples, not necessarily the lemons. And not everybody has 156,000 or 170,000 that they're just willing to pay down into an investment strategy.
Upfront, you haven't the capital yet.
Yeah. And so we're looking at it, and bear in mind the buy-to-let market's been out there for decades and decades. It's there. We had to then get creative, so there's creativity and vision. We know the product works, it's solid, but how can we do it differently? So we toiled and worked on this for weeks and weeks and weeks to get to the position where we said, right, I think there is another version that we can do, which actually is on this board. It's our fractional Own the Asset. So how do we allow clients to get onto the property ladder for a fraction of the cost, but they still get the income stream for that 25-year period, and they still get the resale value of the property when we uplift it, without actually owning it, like the Own the Asset, so they don't have to put the 50 plus in, they could just come in at, say, 15, 16, 17,000, whatever the apartment might be, and they could own a fractional element of that unit. And we spoke to a number of people and a number of professionals. Oh, you can't do it, won't work. And that's the other thing in business. Don't listen to anybody else.
100%.
Yes, take sage advice, but don't listen when somebody's negative and constantly saying you can't do it. To me, that makes me want to do it even more.
I mean, just on that, how many? Because we're quite, well, I'll say quite close. We understand the industry and the sector we work in back to front. We know everyone who operates in it, and vice versa, I'm sure. Yeah. How many of those business owners reached out and said, whatever you're doing, that isn't going to work? Because we put out some feelers, so to speak, just to gauge people's feedback, more so from clients, not everyone else, because we don't follow what everyone else does. We're sometimes inspired by them. But the point I'm trying to make is how many people, it was quite a few of them, these are business owners that operate in the sector, said, Lewis, Christian, I can see where you're going with this, you're wasting your time, it won't work. We didn't listen to it because we don't listen to other people. No. And like what Christian just said, don't be put off by other people. And it might be not necessarily in property. You could be selling sandwiches. You could be selling hot potatoes. What's that, Spudman? And everyone else going, you're never going to go do that. I'm sure everyone told him, you're never going to go and make 15 grand a day selling hot potatoes, whatever you call it. And it's like, how many people tell me that isn't going to work because of that.
Yeah. I mean, this country is inherently negative. We don't embrace change. In America, if you've got an idea, they'll say that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, run with it. Over here, that's the opposite. Yes. Oh, that doesn't. Don't forget it. I don't subscribe to that ethos in life. I'm a half full, not half empty cup. I'm a positive thinker. I have to be
half full, not half. I like that.
Yeah, I'm just for my own esprit de vie. I have to look at things positively, even in a negative situation. I will get a positive result out of a negative, and you've experienced that in working with me.
100%.
You know, when your back's against the wall. Sometimes you can become the most creative in how you restructure or rejig or move things.
Well, that when you're in that sort of position, it's not nice to be in those sort of positions. It happens to most business owners, but it's how you see through.
Yeah.
How you have that vision. Going back to vision, how you have that vision. You could be up against it for cash flow, lack of clients, marketing, whatever it may be. But it's having that vision and belief in yourself that you can see through that and how you're going to get creative, where most people just bury their head in the sand. Or what they then do is they'll go and speak to other business owners in that sector, and they all then believe the hype that shit. And like the amount of people that said that isn't going to work. And I said, well, 1, you're not unique. 2, you haven't got what we've got, which is me and Christian. 3, you don't have the unique property group and everyone around us. 4, watch what if we can make it happen, we will make it happen. Yeah. And going back to like what
you know, fast forward several months and £500,000 later,
and the rest,
we've launched the product, and it's a fantastic product. I mean, it's gone through external due diligence, regulatory compliance, all the rest of it. And now a client has the opportunity to jump onto have the property rights, if you like, to an apartment for as little as £16,000. They get the rental income stream, which we class as a coupon. So they get the coupon on a quarterly basis, which is backed by a 25-year lease, government funded lease, and then they get a minimum 115% uplift in their value of their investment.
That's huge.
Which includes all of the stamp duty and legal fees that come back to them, which doesn't happen in any other model. And then us in the background, we start working instantly anyway. We've got a number of negotiations going on at the moment with different investment houses to buy blocks off us on a yield-based asset, which will give that uplift. I mean, we launched the product, and within its first week, we sold 1.6 million in terms of fractional ownerships that
was in the first 3 days.
First 3 days. It's going to be a huge product. There is no other product in the market that is doing this, and I won't go into the dynamics, the operating cogs and wheels of how the contract works. But suffice to say, it's a 30-page contract. It's heavily weighted in protecting our investors, protecting us as well, because we're in the investment with you. So that's vision and creativity.
100%.
Out of a situation where You're forcing a product into a market that, yes, will sell, but it's not going to sell at the rate that we want to sell a product.
Sustainably. And going back to it, firstly, well done to us.
Yeah, pat on your back.
Pat on your back. Thank you, sir.
Well done, sir.
That was joint effort in getting creative. I can remember the whiteboard, and that didn't work. You went, no, that didn't. I was like, that won't, that will. Can we do that? Because my background isn't. This way we work really well together. The legal side of it, the contracts. I understand it to a point that I need to do my role in my job, but to get to the fact where it ticked all the boxes to the point where we're working with the FCA, and for one, we don't work on this merit, but for all those investment companies to then come back and go, fucking fair play to you. Yeah. How have you done that? And Christian like Lewis don't explain that part of it.
Yeah. I mean, even so we have an external on retainer compliance and regulatory legal specialist firm, law firm in the UK. And once, after hours and hours of going through it, I had a phone call with their senior partner, and he said to me, he said, absolutely brilliant what you've come up with here. And I said, in what regard? And he said, you look at it and it seems obvious, but nobody else is doing it. And the way you've structured it, particularly the way you've put it together and got us then obviously to write the contracts, he said, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I can remember when there was in...
I've never been praised from a lawyer before.
No, I remember you sharing that with me. I remember when they were sat in this very office. Yeah. There was 3 of them. Because do you know what I'm like? We're both like, now. What, Lewis, when do you want it done? Yesterday. That's one of my favourites. Not favourite sayings, I say that quite often. I remember asking, how long will this take? They're like, just Lewis. And then someone said, Lewis likes it like now. I understand it's the legal contract. I think they worked on that for 2 months, 3. Yeah. And that was 3 full-time people, partners in a law firm with all their staff underneath them, full-time, every single day. And then you're going back with amendments, that. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And fair play to you, but obviously fair play to them. They've made it work in such a way where everyone is protected, and not only that, the product speaks volumes on a legal document. And we've got a lot of our clients are big solicitors, and the lady we met in Henley that time for the lunch, her and a partner from overseas, and they've read through it. They're like, wow. It's not for everyone, but it's targeting. We've done it through feedback with people that didn't have, like you said, £150,000 sat in a bank. Who has that sort of cash liquid? For a product where you can own the rights to a brand new apartment that's already leased out for 25 years, completely hands off. You get all the benefits of once it's sold in 2 to 3 years' time, and it's leased out between 8 to 9, 10% yields, and the fact it's completely hands off, and your capital is still there at the end of it. It's just magical. The feedback that we're getting is phenomenal. Fair play to us. Yeah. I'm very proud. I think it's, to date, up there of one of our best investment products yet. And I think it hasn't even touched the market yet. And I'm excited for what's coming from it.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
And that is having true vision. And it's also getting super, super creative and adapting. That's not something that most people could think of. To be fair, there were times when we were thinking probably this isn't going to work because of X, Y, and Z, but then we used our resources. We went back to why we were doing this. What was the vision for this product? Yeah. Because while we were doing it, then it came up a different variant of it. Then we went back to it. That isn't what we were trying to achieve, and we were going back and forth. And
yeah, no, it wasn't just the contractual structure. It was then the negotiations with the development, the housing providers.
Correct.
Because ultimately,
it had to work for everyone. Right?
Yeah, it had to work, but they're all involved. So it's not just us, flying out solo. We had to join all the dots together.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, hugely.
And on that, a lot of every single person we work with, it's exclusive to us. It's this is why it works with us, and we're not comparing ourselves to other people because we don't. There is no comparisons. Don't say that in an ego way. No one does.
The world couldn't hold another Lewis,
or another Christian, or another Unique. And that's something that I'm truly proud of, and that's why our investors love us, because it's all around them. And like the legal team turned around and said, you could have done that in such a different way where you were fully protected, and they're like, but we love the fact you're doing it because it's based around the investors themselves and every single person involved in that. The byproduct to this is, yes, we get paid fees from it. The investors get their returns and their capital back. But the other byproduct is that we're helping UK British citizens in their assisted living and their social housing requirements. And
it's an ethical investment.
100%, and that's what people love about it. So as an overview, if you look at talking about the products themselves, so So assisted living, you have an apartment that's, let's just say the one that's £160,000. It's already leased out for 25 years. It's in an area where it's desperately needed. These aren't new operations. They've been going on for decades. They're not put in residential areas. They're not impacted the local economies. What I mean by that is there are people out there in other sectors that will go and put illegal immigrants or migrants, whatever you want to call it, asylum seekers, into, and they spread them around the UK so you don't even know they're there. That impacts, it's like having next door to family. They're not supposed to be. Then the council move them around, where what we do is dedicated to blocks of apartments in dedicated areas where there is desired healthcare representatives, whether the NHS or large providers that work for 25 years. It's already leased out. We then get invited along exclusively to bring in our investors in, because if we didn't do what we did, those operations wouldn't work. And you have to look at it like a cycle. Then what you then look at that, like split that down into 10, and that then allows us, that's the best way to look at it for people that don't really understand what we've just explained. The fractional is you own a fraction of that. You can invest from £16,000. Where do you know in the UK where you can invest in such a high-end investment product that's so protected for those values?
Nowhere.
Only here at Unique.
Only here, yeah.
And on that note, that is another fantastic podcast. We appreciate everyone listening. Feel free to leave any comments below, and we'll see you on the next one.